What's going on YouTube? This is Unger to the Max here. And hashtag CBJ, hashtag we are the fifth line, hashtag we salute you. Why am I saying all that? Well, because of one reason. It is Columbus Blue Jackets Stanley Cup playoff game day. That's right. The Columbus Blue Jackets are back in the Stanley Cup playoffs. First for the fourth time in franchise history, second time in 2 years. It's fantastic. And for the first time, the Blue Jackets are not playing the Penguins. So that means we have to deal with Alex Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, Evgeny Kuznetsov, who else? TJ Oshie. But here's the surprise. The Capitals will not be starting Braden Holtby in goal tonight for tonight's game. Instead, they are starting Grubauer, which I'm not surprised because, hang on, let me pull up the statistics for the Washington Capitals here. Grubauer has actually been the guy who's been playing better as of late. But at the same time, the Capitals paid all that money to who? Braden Holtby, not Grubauer. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, okay. So, here are some statistics for the Capitals. The top 5 goal scorers. Alex Ovechkin, 49 goals. Evgeny Kuznetsov, 27. Nicholas Backstrom, 21. TJ Oshie, 18. Lars Ellers, 18. John Carlson, 15. Brett Connolly, 15. Tom Wilson, 14. Jakub Brana, 13. Andrei Burakovsky, 12. So those are the top 10 goal scorers for the Capitals. And then, for the Blue Jackets, Artemi Panarin leads the Blue Jackets in goal scoring with 27. Thomas Vanek, who we got in a trade with Vancouver. Would you turn off air conditioner? Okay, Thomas Vanek, who, as I said, joined us late in the season, is second on the team in goals with 24. Cam Atkinson also has 24. Pierre-Luc Dubois has 20. Josh Anderson has 19. Seth Jones, 16. Zach Werenski, 16. Nick Foligno, 15. Sonny Milano, 14. Boone Jenner, 13. Oliver Bjorkstrand, 11. So, although the Capitals overall have players who have scored more goals, even though I still give the edge to the Blue Jackets in that department. And before you say, Josh, were you crazy? You just read the statistics saying the Capitals, that clearly states that the Capitals have the better offensive firepower. I get that. But here's the thing. The Blue Jackets have more offensive depth. So, because as I said, if you look with the Capitals, hang on. If you look with the Capitals, as I said, it goes 49, 27, 21, 18, 18, 15, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and then 9. Whereas, for the Blue Jackets, there's much more spread. 27, 24, 24, 20, 19, 16, 16, 15, 14, 13, 11, 9. So, even though the Capitals have the higher goal scorers, like more goals scored, the Blue Jackets have the depth. So, if one guy's having a bad night, say it's Dubinsky, Wettenberg might be the one that picks up the scoring load. or Seth Jones, or Nick Foligno, or Oliver Bjorkstrand. The Capitals, I think, rely a little bit too much on their offensive firepower. What do I mean? Well, uh, the reason I believe, personally, that the Capitals are having as much success as they are is because they have uh, Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Oshie, and Kuznetsov. Those are, and they also have Braden Holtby in goal. But I'm only focusing on offensive scoring right now. If the if you take Ovechkin off that team, they're not that good of a team. Yes, they would still have Oshie and Backstrom and Kuznetsov, but it's Ovechkin that really makes the Capitals as good as they are. But it's the Capitals haven't really changed the style of how they play offensively in a while. What they do is they have, if you think about a rink, how you have the two circles on the two ends, they will have Ovechkin just sit on the outside of the left circle, pass it around like this, boom, 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 get it over to Ovechkin, bang, slap shot. Now, so the Blue Jackets have to be aware of that. But here's the problem. If you try and load up on Ovechkin on that side, like the Capitals have Oshie and Backstrom who can beat you. So it's a give and take. But that's the basic way that the Capitals play. They haven't differentiated from that. So whereas we don't have a set style. We kind of change how we play. Yes, we will sometimes drop it off to our defensemen, Werenski or Seth Jones, and they'll just drop a slap shot bomb and put it in the back of the net. We don't have I wouldn't say the Blue Jackets have as much of a set style of play or an offensive set that we run as much as the Capitals run that particular set. Which again, the Capitals do this. Start it here, go around the horn, almost a complete trapezoid, end with Ovechkin on the left side, just outside of the circle, so he can put it in the back of the net. Now, I've heard the argument. Over the past 9 years, I've heard the debate of Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin. Who's better? To me, it is no freaking contest. Sidney Crosby, because as I said, Ovechkin doesn't do much on offense. He'll just stand there, wait for the puck, bang, put it in the back of the net. Whereas, if you see Sidney Crosby, take last night, for example, when the Penguins won 7-0. Sidney Crosby was moving all over the ice, trying to not only get his own shot, but help set up his teammates to get shots on the back of the net and score. Crosby even got a hat trick last night. So, and guess what? Has Alex Ovechkin ever made it out past the second round? No. Now, part of the reason is because the Capitals have always run into the Penguins. Partially because the Penguins have dismantled us. But, unfortunately. But, my point is, Ovechkin has never made it to the Stanley Cup final, or has never made it out of the second round, let alone the Stanley Cup final. Whereas, Sidney Crosby has won the Stanley Cup in 2017, 2016, and 2009. It's kind of the same thing as Michael Jordan and LeBron, but where some people are saying Michael Jordan is the best player because he has more championships. But it's not quite the same. And again, because Ovechkin has never made it out of the second round. Crosby has 3 Stanley Cups. Again, 2017, 2016, 2009. And he's been to the Stanley Cup final 4 times. 2017 against the Predators, 2016 against the Sharks, 2009 against the Red Wings, and 2008 against the Red Wings. But I was talking with a college friend earlier today who is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and he says that the Blue Jackets and Penguins are not rivals because don't have a rivalry. And he was showing me this website where the top 3 rivals for the Penguins are the Philadelphia Flyers, which that makes sense, the Washington Capitals, another one that makes sense, and the New York Rangers. The Blue Jackets were ranked 9th on that list. There was like the Detroit Red Wings, Ottawa Senators, New York Islanders in between that. Let me see if I can find that. But I respectfully disagree. Even though the Penguins have knocked us out of the playoffs each time we've been there, 2009, 2012, and last season, if you looked at the games between us, specifically last season, or the last 2 seasons, not only has it been competitive, but it's been fireworks. Not necessarily fights, but tensions run high when Columbus and Pittsburgh play each other. So with all due respect to the guy I was talking with earlier, I think Pittsburgh and Columbus have a nice rivalry forming. But I've been asked before, who do you consider to be the biggest rivals of the Columbus Blue Jackets? So let me give you my personal answer. Hang on, I'm also trying to find the list that he showed me earlier to figure out who Pittsburgh Penguins rivals. Top 10 Pittsburgh Penguins. Here we go. Okay, so before I move on to the Blue Jackets rivals, let me tell you this top 10 from the top. This is from the top10s.com, and it's top 10 Pittsburgh Penguins rivals. Number 1, the Philadelphia Flyers. Come on, it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. One game in the playoffs a couple seasons ago, it was 10-0. Next game, it was like 2-1. So you never know what you're going to get with that rivalry. And there's always like punches, and it's always a fantastic game, except for last night. Washington Capitals. Penguins have pretty much... The Capitals have pretty much been the Penguins' puppet. Because, as I said, what is preventing Alex Ovechkin from getting to the 3rd round? That would be the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's the most frequent playoff opponent ever. And yeah. Number 3, that team that plays at Madison Square Garden with that goalie who's very old. I don't want to say this team name, but I will. The New York Rangers. Ugh. The only guy I somewhat respect on that team is Henrik Lundqvist. I do not respect Zuccarello at all. Number 4, the New York Islanders. So, there was a game a couple years ago. It was in New York, and the Islanders won the game 6-3. But there was, at the end of the game, there was only like one guy left for the Penguins on the Penguins bench, and like 3 left for the Islanders. It was crazy. Number 5. Oh, I do not like this team either. The Boston Bruins. Yeah. The Bruins, nobody really likes them. Especially the Montreal Canadiens. That is one of the biggest rivalries in the NHL, if not in all of sports. Number 6 for the Penguins, the New Jersey Devils. I mean, who likes playing against the Devils? They're always boring, slow, not exciting to watch. Well, they are fairly exciting this season with Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier leading the way for the Devils. They actually made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, they have to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. So have fun with that, New Jersey. Number 7 for top 10 rivalries for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Detroit Red Wings. 2 Stanley Cup finals in a row. 2008 and 2009. It makes sense. Number 8, the Ottawa Senators. I'm not sure why the Senators are a rivalry, but number 9 on the top 10 are the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, again, and number 10 is the St. Louis Blues. And number 11, just on the outside, the Chicago Blackhawks. But I respectfully disagree with that. And as I said, if you've seen even though there has been a lot of fights or bloody games, a lot of games that have ended in bloodshed between the Blue Jackets and Penguins, if you've seen the game the last 2 seasons, not only have the games been close, for example, the first 2 games this season in Pittsburgh, I think both games ended in a shootout, unfortunately with Pittsburgh winning, but also tensions tend to run high between these 2 teams. And, as I said, over the past 2 seasons, the games tend to have been very close. Now, the Penguins have handled us in the playoffs, eliminating us in last season, 2012, and 2009. And the Penguins would go on to win the Stanley Cup 2 out of those 3 years. The only exception being 2012, when the Los Angeles Kings won the Stanley Cup against the New Jersey Devils. But anyway, I've been asked in the past, Josh, who do you consider to be a rival of the Columbus Blue Jackets? East or West? So I'll tell you, my top rival for the Blue Jackets, and I said this team earlier, and I can't believe I'm going to say this team's name, but for me, the top rivalry for us, the top rival is the team that plays at Madison Square Garden and has a really old goalie. It's the New York Rangers. I just have never liked the Rangers. I don't like, first off, that goal horn is, that goal horn is terrible. And even though the Rangers don't have a lot of Stanley Cups, even though we've never played the Rangers in the playoffs, hang on. Hey Siri, how many Stanley Cups have the New York Rangers won? Let's see if Siri knows this.
Looking for the New York Rangers. Okay.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to see if I can find how many Stanley Cups the Rangers have won. Even though we have never made it to the Stanley Cup final. I want to figure this out. New York Rangers won. Let's see. 94, 1940, 1933, and 1928. So they've won 4. But still, the Rangers are always trying to be flashy, like, hey, we're New York, we live in the center of town, so we're great. Shut up. No, you're not. The last time you went to the Stanley Cup was in 2014, and you lost in overtime in Game 5 to the Los Angeles Kings, thanks to Alec Martinez playing a rebound in the back of the net because Henrik Lundqvist couldn't keep the puck covered. Great job, Rangers! And what have you done since? Nothing. Oh, wow, you made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2016. You lost in the first round to the freaking Pittsburgh Penguins. Great job. Okay. I do consider both the Penguins and Capitals to be rivals of the Blue Jackets, but I at least respect those 2 teams. And I explained my reasoning for the Penguins earlier. It's a little bit harder to explain with the Capitals because before we beat them 5-1 in Columbus let me check the date on that game. because I want to get this right. Oh, hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. I know we won 5-1 against them, which snapped our 6-game losing streak against the Capitals. So hang on 1 second. It was February 26th that was when we beat the Capitals. First time in 6 games, or 7 games actually, because we had lost six consecutive games against the Capitals before that. Unfortunately, Washington was the team that ended our 16-game winning streak last season. But I just have never liked Ovechkin or Backstrom or Oshie. Ovechkin, whenever he scores a goal, he's always like, oh my god, I scored a goal. Like, he acts like he's never done it before. Come on. Dude, have some respect. You scored a goal. Great. Go celebrate with your team. Don't go flashing like you do. But those are the 3 primary division rivals for the Blue Jackets. Now here's a surprise rival from the Western Conference, the Minnesota Wild. I think the Blue Jackets and Minnesota and the Wild are developing a nice little rivalry. Now you may be saying to yourself, Josh, how can the Blue Jackets and Wild be forming a rivalry when they're in the 2 opposite conferences? Well, that's just it. They're in 2 opposite conferences. So they only meet twice. It's kind of like the Browns and Steelers. Browns and Steelers isn't a good example because that's not a rivalry. What's a good rivalry to compare this to? What would be a good rivalry? Okay, I can't think of one right now. But if you think of like a NFL rivalry, like Packers and Bears used to be a decent rival. Oh, Packers and Vikings. That's a decent rivalry. But guess what? They only meet twice a season. In Minnesota and in Green Bay. That's it. So even though they're in the... And I know, that's a little bit different because they're in the same division, in the same conference. But they only meet twice a season. In Minnesota and in Green Bay. So it's still the same idea. Just stay with me. Minnesota and Columbus, getting back to the NHL, of course, because it's freaking Columbus Blue Jackets playoff game day, baby. But getting back to the Blue Jackets and Wild, whenever these 2 teams play, it's always a decent game. There's hard hitting. It's usually low scoring. I believe the 2 games. Columbus Blue Jackets against the Minnesota Wild.
Looking for the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are not playing the Wild.
Yeah, the Wild played one in Columbus on January 30th, 3-2. But earlier in the season when we played Minnesota, it was 5-4. So it's always a close game. And last season, I'll go back to last season. Hang on, let me see. On March 2nd, 2017, the Blue Jackets won against the Wild in Columbus, 1-0. And then before that, in December 2016, so still last season, in Minnesota at XL Energy Center, the Blue Jackets won 4-2. So it always seems to be a close game between these 2 teams, and I've seen tensions rise a little bit when these 2 teams play. So, in my opinion, there could be a decent rivalry forming between us and the Minnesota Wild. It might not turn into anything, and I could be completely wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, another rivalry that could be forming with another Western Conference team for the Blue Jackets is the Chicago Blackhawks. Partially because we got Artemi Panarin in that trade with the Blackhawks that sent Brandon Saad back to Chicago. I wish we didn't trade Saad, but I'm happy with Panarin. But it always seems to be a close game with Chicago, and it's hard hitting, kind of like Minnesota. But with Minnesota, it's on equal sides. I would say the Blue Jackets are the hard-hitting team against the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks don't really want to engage in hard-hitting hockey. I mean, they have their own style. They're not part of, I wouldn't say they're part of the new generation of the NHL with teams like the Penguins and Winnipeg Jets who want to play fast and get up and down the ice, up and down, like that. But they're not a physical team. They're somewhere in between. But it always seems like it's a close game. I wouldn't say there's much of a rivalry, but I would definitely say there's a rivalry between the Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild. Hang on, just raising the volume a little bit. My apologies, I didn't do that earlier. But let me think. What other rivalries do the Blue Jackets have in the Eastern Conference? Oh, I know. That team that has the B with all the spokes and the circles, the team that pretty much stole the Pittsburgh Penguins colors. Yeah, I'm talking about the Boston Bruins. Ugh. I don't like Zdeno Chara. Ugh. Even though he's not the hardest hitter, I just don't like him. The one guy I respect on the Bruins is Brad Marchand. I think it's Marchand. But he always seems to play well and, tries to play the game the right way. But Patrice Bergeron, no. Just no. He is a hitter. And, I do not like Bergeron. No. I wouldn't say the Detroit Red Wings are a rival. Islanders, a little bit, maybe. Who else? Nah. I wouldn't say we have a great rivalry with any particular team. But I would say, as I said earlier, the biggest rival for the Blue Jackets, in my opinion, is that team that plays at Madison Square Garden in New York and has the old guy as goal. The New York freaking Rangers. Ugh. No. I should wash my mouth out with soap after saying that team name. Ugh. But anyway, talking about tonight's game. Like I said earlier in this video, before I started talking about the Blue Jackets, the rivalries that I think the Blue Jackets have. The Capitals like to get it to Ovechkin in this way. Start it here, go over here, almost a complete trapezoid. But you start it here, get the puck here, go boom, 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 boom. And when you get here, who's there? Ovechkin. Bang. Slap shot from the top of the circle. Now, like I said, you can't load up against Ovechkin on that side because you're going to have Backstrom and Oshie and potentially Kuznetsov on the other side waiting to destroy you. But the Blue Jackets and Capitals, although it's the division winners, the Capitals, playing the first wild card, the Blue Jackets, it's not as close. It's not a David versus Goliath matchup like you might think. Think about this. The Blue Jackets, like I said, beat the Capitals 5-1 in the last game. Granted, it was the first time we had beaten the Capitals in 6 games. But, no, it's not even giving me the standings now. Okay. But the Blue Jackets weren't that far behind the Capitals in the standings in terms of points. We were right there with them pretty much till the end. The Capitals just had too much firepower. But what hurt the Blue Jackets in their chase to maybe win the Metropolitan Division is we had injuries in the beginning of the season, and we still have some injuries. Like, I'm not sure if Cam Atkinson is going to be playing tonight, so we'll have to see. As I said, I'll be touching more on these statistics and giving you my thoughts as the game is happening, because I will be doing a Blue Jackets at Capitals in-game live stream tonight. I mean, why not? It's Game 1, Stanley Cup playoffs, Blue Jackets, Capitals. Why not? But I want to find the division standings. Okay. Because, here we go. NHL hockey standings. This is right from NHL.com. Oh. Quick update. The Minnesota Golden Gophers just hired Lindsay Whalen. Interesting. Okay. So the Capitals had 49 wins, 26 losses, 7 overtimes, 105 points. Penguins, 47 wins, 29 losses, 6 points, or 6 overtimes, I should say, 100 points. So those teams were only separated by 5 points. And then you had the Flyers, who got the 3 seed, the third slot in the Metropolitan, 42 wins, 26 losses, 14 overtimes, 98 points. And then the Blue Jackets, 45 wins, 30 losses, 7 overtimes, 97 points. So just a point behind the Philadelphia Flyers. If we had won the season finale in Nashville, we would have been the 3 seed in the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. Then again, we would have had to play the Penguins. Ugh. But anyway, 105 and 97 are not that far apart. Let's see, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So 8 points. 8 points might sound like a lot, but in hockey, it's not. 8 points isn't that much. So there's not a lot separating these two teams. The differential, the Capitals were plus 20. The Blue Jackets were plus 8. Goals allowed, 239 for the Capitals, 230 for the Blue Jackets. So again, not that big of a difference. Home, the Capitals were 28, 11, and 2. Blue Jackets, 26, 12, and 3. On the road, Capitals, 21, 15, and 5. Blue Jackets, 19, 18, and 4. So those statistics might sound a little bit wider, but again, these two teams were closer in the standings than you think. Again, 8 points is not a lot in hockey. So, I think it's going to be a close series. If we want to legitimately have a chance at winning this series, we have got to win either tonight, Game 1, or Game 2, I believe on Saturday. I believe that's when Game 2 is. I might be wrong on that. It might actually be Sunday. Let me double check. It's either Saturday or Sunday that the next game is. Let me double check. It is Game 2 of this series is, hang on, NHL app. Game 2 of this series, Game 1 is tonight at 7:30 from Capital One Arena. Game 2 is not till Sunday, again at 7:30. Game 3 is Tuesday, or hang on. Game 1 is tonight, April 12th at 7:30. Game 2 is Sunday, April 15th at 7:30. Game 3 is Tuesday, April 17th at 7:30. Game 4 is April 19th. Game 4 is April 19th at 7:30. Games 3 and 4 will be in Columbus. Game 5, if necessary, in Washington is on Saturday, April 21st. Game 6, if necessary, is Monday, April 23rd. And Game 7, if necessary, would be Wednesday, April 25th. Game 5 would be in Washington. Game 6 would be in Columbus, and Game 7 would be back in Washington. So it'll be an interesting matchup. And I might have mentioned this earlier, but I don't remember. Braden Holtby, who the Capitals paid all this money to in the offseason, will not be starting Game 1. It'll actually be Grubauer. So I'm gonna use post to post for a minute. You might know Post to Post. They're a great hockey channel. If you haven't checked out their videos, you should check it out. I will post the link for their channel in the link in the description below. But here we go. These are statistics that Post to Post got for the series. On the Washington side, 3.2 goals per game, 2.90 goals allowed per game, 22.5% on the power play, 80.3% on the penalty kill, and 50.40 on what's FO? I don't remember, so forget that one. On the Blue Jacket side, 2.88 goals per game, 2.76 goals allowed per game, 17.2 power play percentage. So the Blue Jackets power play really hasn't been there the whole season. 76.2% on the penalty kill. And then I don't know what FO is, so I'm just going to forget that one. But it's 48.4%. If you know what FO stands for, let me know in the comment section below. Let me see. Hang on. Ovechkin has 87 points. Kuznetsov 83. Backstrom 71. Oshie has 47. Panarin ended up with 82 points, but then it drops all the way down with Seth Jones to 57, and then it goes to Dubois at 48. So yes, there's more scoring and more total points on the Capital side, but the Blue Jackets have the depth. But as I said, if the Blue Jackets want a legitimate chance at winning the series and making it to the second round for the first time in franchise history, they have got to win Game 1 or Game 2 in Washington. Preferably, even though Grubauer has been the better goalie as of late for Washington, I think the Blue Jackets' best chance to win in game of these first two games is tonight, because the Capitals are not playing Holtby, who has statistically, in the past, been better, has been the Capitals' best goalie. So, we'll see. But I gotta be realistic. So, I think the Blue Jackets could push this all the way to 7 games, potentially. But as much as I would love to say that the Blue Jackets can beat the Capitals, I'm not sure we have the firepower to match up with Washington. We'll see. But I'm going to say Capitals in... No, I got to say the Washington Capitals. They won the Metropolitan Division. I want to make... You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say Capitals in 7. I think the Blue Jackets can win 3 games and force the series to go 7 games. That's just my opinion. You know what? Let me open it up. Give me your series predictions. Comment in the comment section below. Who do you have? Capitals or Blue Jackets? And in how many games? And who's your MVP and who's your LVP? So, MVP, give it whoever wins, base it off of whoever you have winning the series. So if you have the Blue Jackets winning the series, tell me, let's say you say Blue Jackets in 6. Then your MVP would be somebody from the Blue Jackets, and your LVP would be somebody from the Capitals. But let's say you have the Capitals winning it in 5. Then you would have your MVP be somebody from the Capitals, and your LVP would be somebody from the Blue Jackets. So comment in the comment section below. Who do you have winning the series? How many games? Who's your MVP and who's your LVP? And don't forget, I will be doing a in-game live stream for tonight's game for Game 1 from Capital One Arena. It is the first round between your Washington Capital, between your Columbus Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals. So stay tuned. Tonight, 7:30 is puck drop from Capital One Arena. But until then, I'll be seeing you next time. So, for now, this is Unger to the Max, signing off. Salute, go Cavs, and tonight, especially, go Jackets! If you enjoyed watching today's video, punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter, and punch that like button. For now, I'll be seeing you next time. I'll be seeing you next time.